Alrighty, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Hope everyone's doing well. Today is Tuesday, June the 17th. Hope everyone's doing well on this Tuesday morning. You can see the overall markets dropping here in the after hours along with the pre-market after having this nice rally towards the upside. Currently, overall markets fairly neutral. It's really just based off of the news that we have currently and the basically the economics that we do have going on. We'll talk about this here a little bit more and go over some of the charts that I do like. AMD yesterday, this was kind of the main move that was leading the markets towards the upside. It was up around 8%. It had news as well. That's what kind of drove this towards the upside. This one's breaking out on the daily time frame, so we do expect continuation. So take a look at AMD here in a second as well. A lot of the semiconductors showing a decent amount of strength compared to the major indices. So before we hop into the charts, good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning, Paul. Good morning, Jeff B. Roots, Psycho. Good morning, Josh, Daniel, Mozzie, Henry, JT, Martin, Care. I always pronounce that name wrong. What's up, Wayne, Ryan, Tan, Steven, Audrey, Cuba, Andreas, Desire. Good morning, Darth. Nathaniel, good morning, KO, Juan, Chris, Jen, Kuta, Daniela, Infinite, Raymond, Robert, Sam, Comp, Point, good morning, Relative, Darth, Telmo, Kelly, Greg, David. Yeah, good morning, everyone. Hope everyone's doing well. Let's head on to the ES and NQ, and then we'll head over to the tech names here as well. This morning, we do have some red folder news, if I'm not mistaken, later into the day. Sorry, we have core retail sales today, and then we have unemployment and then FOMC tomorrow. So we do have a little bit of red folder news here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we'll most likely develop our game plan once that 8:30 red folder news does hit, but we can go over levels in the meantime. So first things first, let's talk about the ES. So yesterday, let's actually go back onto the 1 hour chart. So yesterday, the markets ended up driving up in towards really the top of the range that we have here, which was our last Thursday's highs. You can see the overall market rejecting off your last Thursday's highs, and now we're just coming right back down below your last Friday's highs, right? Our 60-80 key levels. So if we go back into the 15-minute time frame, as you can see here, overall markets end up driving a price back towards the upside. Once we're able to get above our Friday's highs, we end up having an immediate retest. The next levels was our last Thursday's highs being our 6,100. So you can see markets end up having a nice push towards the upside, and then we just weren't able to get above and hold above your 6,100, which was your Thursday's high. So once we got above it, right, we end up getting back below, just did not get back above it the rest of the day. And then the markets, as you can see, got back underneath your last Friday's highs. And now we're back underneath and we're gapping down about 0.3% here on the ES. So coming into this morning, the levels that we have drawn out for the ES is going to be number one, your last Friday's highs. We have your last Friday's highs, which we have multiple touches off of, and then basically your previous day lows being your 6180. So this is going to be your key level coming into market open. If we're able to get back above your 6180, that's going to look good for a potential kind of reclaim above that key level. If we end up coming up, rejecting off your previous day lows and this Friday's highs, there's a good chance we end up just coming right back down in towards your pre-market range that we've established so far on the ES. If you look at the SPY, I think you can see this a little bit more clear, but basically for the SPY, key levels that we have marked out, if I just actually get rid of this, key levels that I have for the SPY coming into today is going to be our 601, and then I'm also going to have marked out your previous day lows here. So we can mark out some fresh levels here for the SPY being number one, your 601.80s, your Friday's highs, and now we can also mark out your previous day lows being your 600 key psych. So coming into this morning, what I like to see here is number one, the reaction that we have off of your previous day lows. Currently, we are reclaiming this level. So what I like to see is right? For more upside, the hold back above your previous day lows for a push back up in towards your 601.80s. This is a possible scenario you'd be looking for. Another scenario is right the break above your 601.80s consolidation for a push back towards the upside. This one's decent as well. Most likely, if you are looking for low risk coming to this morning, it's going to be the break and hold above your previous day lows, which is the 600 key psych. A few other scenarios that you could be looking for. Only way I'm interested in some more downside here on the SPY is if it consolidates, gets back underneath your 600 and right shows weakness, which means like lower highs are being put in, markets are staying heavy. There's a potential that we could see your pre-market lows along with your gap that we created over the weekend. This is also a scenario that we could be looking for here on SPY, which is going to be underneath your previous day lows. If we look at this with the regular trading hours, you can see we do have a pretty big gap. So we're about to have two gaps coming into today. We have this gap that we created over the weekend, along with the gap that we created overnight. There's a better chance that we gravitate up and towards the gap that we created overnight, which is back towards your 601.80s, instead of filling the gap back down in towards the over the weekend gap, which is back down towards your 597. But as I mentioned, this is also in play if we get underneath your previous day lows, which is going to be your 627 here for the SPY. If we go into the QQQ next, let's go into the NQ. The NQ chart that we have coming into today, similar thing to the ES that we do have marked out, is number one going to be your last Friday's highs. You can see once we got above your last Friday's highs, we end up having a nice push towards your Thursday's highs, which is your 22,190s. Now we can actually get rid of that. It's actually just mark out new levels here as well for the NQ. Key levels that I have coming into today is number one going to be your Friday's highs. We also have your last Thursday's highs marked out as well. And then coming into this morning, what we can also have marked is going to be your previous day lows. Your previous day lows being your 2213. So if I mark this out, you can mark this out as a general area, right? So 2213 coming into today, previous day lows, and your last Thursday's highs. What I like to see, as you can see in this case, the NQ is a little bit more bullish than the ES. What we like to see is the reclaim and hold back above your 2260 for this continued push back towards the upside. So for the NQ, we like to see number one, the hold of your 22,060 for a push higher. The next level, at least for clear upside, is going to be back above it's going to be your previous day highs and your last Thursday's highs here as well. You could also see the market drive higher today. We'll see what happens with this red folder news at 8:30, but really the key levels that we're going to keep an eye out on 2260. So for some more downside, I personally like it underneath your pre-market lows along with your previous day lows here as well. So if I am looking for downside, I'd much rather see it underneath your pre-market lows, previous day lows, lower high be built underneath your 22,013 here on the NQ. Besides that, I don't really want to look for a short unless, as I mentioned, underneath key levels. If we go into the QQQ, key levels we have in this case, let me just remark out key levels here as well. In this case, we have your last Thursday's highs marked out. We have your last Friday's highs marked out, and we can also have your previous day lows marked out. So for the QQQ coming into today, similar thing to the NQ. What we have in this case is your 531 along with your 530.50. So for the Qs, for some more upside, I like to see it maintain above your 531 for this continued push, potentially back up and towards your 533 here on the QQQ. If we end up rejecting off of your 531, I'm much more interested in the breakback underneath your previous day lows along with your pre-market lows here, which is going to be underneath your 530.50 for a push back down to potentially your full gap fill over the weekend, 527 here on the Qs. So coming into this morning, levels are fairly clear here for the ES and the NQ. I am fairly neutral on the market since, right, we end up having this push higher yesterday, and now we're actually back in the same spot on Tuesday's open. So for upside, right, clear upside, it would be above your previous day highs in this case, we're back closer to your previous day lows, and we have two gaps on the chart. So we'll see what happens with core retail sales today. We do have a few of these tech names that look really good towards the upside. So we'll talk about this here as well. Let's first talk about Tesla. So Tesla key levels that we have coming into today, still the exact same levels as yesterday. What I really wanted to see yesterday was a break above our 332. This is our double top that we created last week. Yesterday, we did even come up and test this level, so this is still valid. This one inside bar day compared to Friday. So this one, you can see we have multiple touches off our 332. So for Tesla, I'm still very much interested in this one. A few key scenarios that we could be looking for. Number one would be the bounce off our 322 for this continued pushback towards the upside. This is a scenario that we can be looking for based off the higher time frames. Another scenario that we could be looking for is really the hold above your previous day lows. Hold above your previous day lows. Let's kind of zoom in just a little bit here. A hold above your previous day lows, we can see this mean reversion back up in towards your previous day highs. And then really the best scenario is going to be above your 333, right? Above your 333 and kind of this 335, you can see a nice continued push back towards the upside. But of course, Tesla is not just going to move up right off the bat within the first 5 minutes. So most likely, right, we'll see what happens based off intraday price action. But if we can gravitate back up and towards your 333, your last Thursdays and Fridays highs, you potentially see a break back towards the upside here on Tesla. Let's actually just mark out your previous day lows here as well. So 327, you have your 323 marked out along with your previous day highs, 333. As for a few other names that we're looking for, Nvidia. So we have a few semiconductors marked out here. Let me actually just get rid of this. So for the semis, we're fairly bullish on quite a few semis yesterday. Key levels that we have marked out was your previous day highs. So once we're able to maintain above your previous day highs, next logical level was going to be back up and towards your last week's highs, being your 145. This is the key level. You can see markets gravitated towards the upside. A little bit of reaction, pullbacks, at least on the higher time frames, got bought up. You end up having this nice move towards your last week's highs and above. Currently for Nvidia now, similar thing. It's just going to be your 145 reclaim. If you do want to see some more upside, reclaim back above your 145 for a push back up and towards your previous day highs. If we pop above, right, consolidate, get back underneath, then there's going to be no continuation, and we do expect potentially a little bit more of a pullback underneath your last week's highs, 145 here. As for Apple, not too much to talk about on this name, consolidating compared to the overall markets. Key levels are you going to have marked out 197. I'm still bearish on this name on the higher, at least on the 1 hour time frame. This one has been a little bit weaker. Higher time frame, leaning more towards the bear side as well, but this is in a key level. So for Apple, levels that you're going to keep an eye out today is going to be this 197. If you can maintain your 197, get back above your previous day highs, you have a potential for a push back up and towards your 200 key psych. If we do show a little bit more weakness, which is underneath this 197, you could see this move back down in towards your last week's lows, 196. As for my main watch coming to today is going to be AMD. I guess this one's popping up. So for AMD, this one on the higher time frames, we had news yesterday as well. So for AMD, key levels that we can have marked out, what I wanted to see was an opening play on this one. So I wanted to see an opening drive where we do not take out your previous day highs for a continued push higher. But in this case, you can see AMD is pushing higher here in the pre-market. Now what we're going to have marked out is your previous day highs. So what we'll be looking for coming into today will be the hold of our previous day highs, 128, for this continued push towards the upside. So that's what we have for AMD coming into today. If we look at this daily chart, I think this is going to be a good daily chart to look at. So let's kind of remove a few drawings here. We talked about AMD starting to curl here, right? Higher lows are being built. Ever since we're able to reclaim back above A couple key levels that we have marked out. Number one was our 96. Other levels that we have marked out here as well was our 116. This is our earnings key pivot point all the way back from February, and you can see we have multiple touches off this level. So for AMD, you can see nice base above your 116. Now we're having a really strong push higher. Next levels is going to be all the way back up in towards right this. We have a couple of things we're going to be looking for. We have a daily gap here. We have another daily gap, and we could also mark out this key high 132. So for AMD, we can expect the daily chart to push back up and towards 132 along with this daily gap. So we go back onto the lower time frames here and draw out our key levels. So our key levels that we have marked out on AMD, as you can see, we have marked out this daily gap, which we ended up filling yesterday. Now what we have marked out here is our 129, right? And then this 130 and then this 132. So for AMD, go back onto the 1 hour chart. As I mentioned today, right, clear trend on AMD. Now we had a little bit of consolidation. Now we're breaking back towards the upside. Let's see if AMD can continue the trend and have a day 2 mover, which is going to be above your previous day high. So hold above your previous day highs, continuation higher. So this is really only one scenario today. It's going to be the dip back in towards your previous day highs 128, and then you could be looking for the higher low off 128 for this pushback towards the upside here, right? If price, let's say, pushes higher right off the bat, you could be looking for an intraday setup. You don't really want to chase this as much, but the best scenario, as I mentioned, 128 retest on AMD. As for a few other tickers that we're looking at, Microsoft, still very bullish towards the upside. You're above your previous all-time highs, as you can see right here, above your above your 468. What we like to see now on Microsoft is just the slow trend that's going to build back towards the upside. Key levels that you do have marked out coming into today is going to be your 476. If you can reclaim your 476, you can see this push back up in towards your 480s. If you do stay heavy underneath your 476, there's a potential that we push back down in towards your 473 here on Microsoft, underneath your 475. As for Meta, Meta is also one of my favorite looking tickers here as well. Key levels that we have marked out is your 703. So you can see multiple touches. If you go into the 1 hour chart, you have multiple wicks, 703. So far, we've been not able to close above your 703 on the 1 hour chart. If we're able to close above your 703, there's a clear shot back up in towards your 710 and above here on Meta. So we can keep an eye out on Meta. This one looks good here on the daily chart. Next levels that I do have is going to be your 716. If you can get above, now it's going to be your last week's highs, 708. So we'll keep an eye out on Meta here. We are forming a mini kind of cup and handle. So above your 704, we can see continuation towards the upside. As for Google, this one key level that we have similar to yesterday is going to be your 178. 178 above your 178 hold for this continued push back towards the upside. So that's what we have for Google. 178. We can also mark out now other key levels as well, which is going to be your previous day's low kind of key pivot level along with this 176. So these are the levels I have for Google. As for Amazon, key levels that we had yesterday was your 214. Nice 214 reclaim and hold above your 214. Now we're just right back down in towards this key level. So what I would like to see, hold of your 214 for this continued push back up in towards your 216, your gap fill here on Amazon. And then I already went over AMD, Netflix. This one's consolidating here as well. So those are the levels I have for the major indices and tech names coming into today. We do have red folder news in about 10 minutes here. So we'll develop our game plan a little bit more once we do have that red folder news event. As for the tech names so far, as I mentioned, really the only name that I see that's fairly bullish is really the semiconductors. If we look at AMD, this one's the most bullish name. If we look at the SMH here as well, you can see SMH still very much intact for continuation higher. Next level for SMH is going to be your last week's highs along with your 269. So you can see touch here yesterday off your 264. So now for the SMH, what we would like to see for continuation above your 264 hold for this push up in towards your 269. So you can keep an eye out on your 264 here for SMH. As for your levels of support, now what we have marked out is just your last Friday's highs, 260 here, and then resistance 264 on SMH. SMH is your semiconductor ETF. All right. If you guys do have any tickers, you guys can drop them in the chat. I'll go over them before we have red folder news in about 9 minutes here. All right. Let me see. Let me read the chat. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Yeah, if you guys do have any charts, you guys can drop them in the chat. If you guys are enjoying this so far, appreciate if you guys drop me a like. Let's see. Good morning. What's up, everyone? Good morning. Invesco went up despite a crash out. Invesco, like the QQQ. Palantir. So yeah, Palantir, this one's still very much bullish towards the upside. So I talked about this one yesterday. Perfect retest right off our 139. This one, if you could have got in on the first candle, that would have been awesome. But basically, we've been talking about this retest. This was textbook. One of my main watches yesterday was a retest off of your previous day highs. This one, perfect retest within the first candle. As you can see, buyers stepped in right off the bat and pushed this towards the upside. But you can see within the first candle, right, retest off your previous day highs already was above your pre-market highs in the first candle, and then right, immediate retest for this nice continuation higher. After the first kind of 5 to 10 minutes developed, it didn't really do too much after that. But now for Palantir, we're still holding above right your 139. So for Palantir, you can see we're still holding above your 139 previous all-time highs in the after hours, along with yesterday's price action here as well. Key levels that we're going to have marked out on Palantir is now going to be your previous day highs. Right, previous day highs being your 144, along with your previous all-time highs, your 140 here. As for intraday levels, right, you can just mark out your pre-market highs and your pre-market lows, but really these are the main levels that you're going to be looking for. As for HIMS, so this one's breaking out here as well, so I like HIMS. Key levels that we have on HIMS now is right, your 58 key psych. We've been talking about this level for a while now, which is really 58 and your 52. If we can have a daily candle close above your 58, potentially we can see a little bit more continuation towards the upside here. We're still holding underneath this trend line, so we're not out of the clear as of yet. But for HIMS, let's see if the buyers can step in today and potentially push price back towards the upside. Go back onto the 15-minute time frame. This is what I have here on HIMS. I like to now see the base and break above your 58 key psych. You can see multiple touches. Tried breaking out, was unable to. Now we finally broke out with some strong displacement. We're holding your 58. Now let's see if we can maintain above your 58 for this continuation higher. So for HIMS, key levels that we have marked out is going to be your 58.50, and we also have now here as well, it is your previous day highs being your 61.50. So what I like to see on HIMS, right, you can see multiple touches, is really just a hold of your 58.50 for this push back up in towards your previous day highs being your 61.50 here on HIMS. So this is the level we can have marked out now as well. As for Oracle, this one yesterday really did not hit your previous day highs, which was your Friday's highs. This one has an inside bar day. So Oracle very much still bullish here on the higher time frames. Now this one's just consolidating, came back into your kind of 15-minute order block here. So for Oracle, this is my only level of support. So I only have one level of support here, which is this down close candle. And also now it's your previous day lows here as well. So you can see that's where Oracle start to find a bottom here. Now what I like to see on Oracle is really the push back up in towards your previous day highs and above. So this is what I like to see, hold of your 210 or hold of your 210, and now I like to see a push back up in towards your previous day highs and above, being your 216, as long as we maintain above your 209. So it can dip down in towards your 209, but you don't want to see it close underneath. You want to see it wick underneath, hold, right, higher lows be built, and push back up in towards the upside here based off of your pre-market lows and this 15-minute order block that we have here from Friday. So Oracle is still very much bullish. Now the inside bar, now you like to see, right, this continue push higher. As for IWM in this case, key levels that we do have marked out is your previous day lows along with your previous day highs here as well. So IWM, you can see pushed up in towards your gap that we created along with this 212. A little bit of rejections here on the IWM yesterday, and we end up pushing back towards the downside here. Key levels for me is your 209 previous day lows. If we maintain underneath your 209, we can see this push back down in towards your last week's lows, which is your 208. If we can reclaim back above your previous day lows, we're just going to see a little bit of a mean reversion and a push back up and towards your gap fill, 210.50s here. As for other names, someone's mentioning a pair, a euro pair. Potentially, if I have time, I'll go over some like Forex pairs in a bit. As for Tesla, yeah, we already went over Tesla, CRWV, CrowdStrike. As for CrowdStrike, this one is at all-time highs. Now we're holding above your all-time highs key level, which is your 455. What we like to see is it just maintain right your 455. So for CrowdStrike, right, 455. We also had earnings here as well. So that's going to be the next level that we can expect it to gravitate towards is your earnings high. Other levels that we can have marked out here as well is going to be this 478. So for CrowdStrike, now you can see we took out your earnings low. This is equilibrium that we do have, 478. We have your earnings high. What I would like to see now, right, resistance turn into support. Now I like to see the hold of your 478 for a push back up and towards your 493. Good morning. What's up? Good morning, Kels. Circle. So this is a recent IPO. Circle, beautiful base. I actually have not been paying attention to this one. I'll actually add this one to the watch list, but you can see beautiful base here on Circle right off our 103. We talked about this one being your IPO high. As long as it maintains your 103, we can expect continuation higher. You can see flagged above your 103 and really solid push here on Friday. And then even yesterday, nice push towards the upside here as well, right off our key levels. For Circle, now what we'll have marked out is going to be our previous day highs. Yeah, dang, this went up 60% or 50% in the past 2 sessions. Key levels that we have marked out on Circle is now going to be your previous day lows, 146, along with your previous day highs, 164. Other levels we can have marked out here as well. If we're looking at intraday levels now, we can just mark out really, it's going to be the area we broke down from around this 158. So I'll mark out this general area, which is basically the area that we broke down from yesterday, 158. This one's more of an intraday level from its previous day, but we have your 158. We have your previous day highs, and then we have your previous day lows marked out. This one, now what you like to see is really the reaction that we have off these levels above your 158. You can see continuation, right? If you're looking for a potential bounce play, the bounce play for me is going to be all the way back down in towards your previous day lows, 148. So it's a little bit more farther away. I'd much rather look for a reclaim in this case above your 158. SoFi, why don't you use overnight? Overnight, I'm not sure exactly what you mean. We do use overnight, unless you're talking about the tech names, which in this case, they only have the pre-market and after hours. As for SoFi, this daily chart's looking good here as well. Curling back towards the highs. SoFi now, next levels that we do have, if you can get above, now it's going to be this 15 key psych, is going to be 16 and above. If you can have a strong daily candle close in this case. All right, we do have some news here in a sec. So we have your core retail sales that's coming out here currently. All right. Overall markets having a decent reaction here from core retail sales. You can see right here at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you do look at the numbers, you can see previous 0.1% forecasted, negative 0.5, and then you can see the actual negative 0.09. So it came in lower than expected here on the core retail sales. Sorry, that's a retail sales month over month. As for the core retail sales, see the actual negative 0.3, forecasted 0.2. So you can see the overall market, as you can see currently, having a decent reaction off your core retail sales. Decent amount of volatility that came into the markets here. For SPY, if you go back onto the SPY chart, now we can kind of develop our levels. So for the SPY, similar thing, we're just going to mark out your previous day lows coming to this morning. If we do maintain underneath your previous day lows, next levels, pre-market lows, and potentially below being your full gap fill. If we can reclaim coming to market open, so let's say we consolidate, reclaim back above your 650, we can see this push back up towards your 602. As for the QQQ, the levels that I have marked out is going to be your previous day lows along with your 531 here for the QQQ. As for the major names that we have, nothing else has really changed, at least on the tech side. Tesla still around your 326. As for Nvidia, so Nvidia, this one's pushing higher here with AMD. So we'll keep an eye out on Nvidia for continuation higher. This one, if we are looking at this on the daily time frame, this one very bullish. Next levels I do expect it to gravitate towards is your 150 and really your all-time highs here on Nvidia. So key levels that I do have marked out, if you go back onto the lower time frames, if you go back onto the 15-minute chart, it's going to be the hold above your 145. So if you are looking at Nvidia today, hold above your 145, we can see this push up and towards your previous day highs here and above. So this is the level we're going to keep an eye out on. Multiple touches, as you can see, off your 145. Now, if we can maintain above your 145, we can see this continue push higher towards your 146 and above. So we'll keep an eye out on Nvidia. Today, 145, push higher. AMD, main watch, you can see this one showing a lot of strength here in the pre-market so far, not affected whatsoever, just because higher time frame is bullish. So now for AMD, most likely it isn't going to pull back down in towards your previous day highs. So I'll be a little bit more cautious on this one, just because it's a little bit farther away from your key levels of support. Now, what I have for AMD, I'm also going to have marked out your 129. So this one's going to be based off of intraday. It's going to be based off the tape coming to market open. So if you can see kind of a dip on the lower time frames, you'd be looking for the reclaim on the 1-minute range or the reclaim above your pre-market highs for a quick trade up in towards your 130 and potentially your 131. Besides that, if you're looking for a break and retest wise, right back in towards your previous day highs. So that's what we have for the names that we're looking for. It does seem like, yeah, as I mentioned, the major names are going to be the semiconductors. Let's look at a few other semiconductors here as well. TSM shaping up fairly nicely here. Key levels that we do have is your 217, last week's highs that we did hit for TSM. Now key level that you like to see reclaim is back above this 215. So we have actually a few key areas here on TSM. I'd actually mark out this level here. It's going to be your last Thursday's key pivot point above your 216. We can see a potential move back up in towards your 217 here on TSM. As for a few other semiconductors, we do have MU, this one pushing up nicely here as well on the daily time frame. Once we're able to get above this 115, next levels for MU is going to be your 121.60s along with this daily gap that we have at this 122.90s. So you go back onto the 15-minute time frame, key levels that we have marked out. Number one, your last week's pivot high. You can see nice retest off of your Friday's highs along with your last week's highs here as well for a continuation higher. As for MU now, key levels that we're going to have marked out is going to be your previous day highs along with this 121. So for MU, I like to see push up in towards your previous day highs here and above. This one fairly bullish here on the daily time frame. So as long as you maintain above now, it's going to be your pre-market lows. We can expect this one to continue back up in towards your 121 here and above. So that's what we have for MU. So those are mainly the semiconductors. We have MU, TSM, AMD, and Nvidia. Of course, AMD is the strongest along with Nvidia as well, but we have some daily time frame breaks out here. Daily time frame breakouts on MU along with TSM. AVGO is already at all-time high, so this one fairly bullish as well. Consolidation now, but key levels is going to be your 255 if we are going to reclaim above that level. Okay, let's see. Let me go over a few more tickers here as well. I'll go over a couple more and then I'll call it a day. Let me scroll back up. I'm on due to the wars feels bad. I might as well get in on it. On SoFi, let's see. Hello, do you ever show chart and options chain process? Ever show chart and option chains process? Are you talking about the pre-market prep? In this case, this is just the pre-market prep. We're going over the charts. As for the option chains, we have modules and other things on that as well. Gold for spine queues. Do you go at one expiration on Fridays? Yes. For if I trade the spine queues, generally I will trade the futures. But if I am trading options, I'll take one out the money and I'll take either next day's expirations or you can take weeklies. As for gold, a little bit of reaction off our 34 key level, right? 34.40s, a little bit of pullback here. Now we're getting back underneath your other key pivot highs, which is this Thursday's highs. We can also mark out this here as well. So for gold, right, ended up breaking above this level you want to see hold. Now you can see a couple touches off this general area. Now, if we maintain underneath really your 34, we can see potential pushback down in towards your 3350s here. Only level for more upside is the reclaim back above your 3400. Okay, filtered for orange and red folder. That's correct. Why don't you use overnight and only pre-market? I answered that one earlier. I mentioned we do use them. In this case, for any of the tech names, there's only the pre-market and after, as we don't have the overnights unless it's futures. Futures markets are open 23 hours a day, whereas these ones are open from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, yeah, let me go over my game plan once more coming to today. Again, right, key level for me today is going to be your previous day lows here on SPY. So we'll keep an eye out on the reaction off your 600 key psych. As for the QQQ, we'll keep an eye out on your 531. As for the top watches today, it's going to be the semiconductors. The semiconductors are showing strength here compared to the overall market. You see overall market gapping down here, whereas the semiconductors like Nvidia along with AMD showing some strength. So Nvidia, as I mentioned, above your 145. AMD, if you can see any sort of pullback coming to market open, preferably down in towards your 127 for this push higher. It does seem like it is very bullish. Most likely won't come down in towards your 127. You can be looking for the dip down in towards your 129 for an intraday setup for a pushback towards the upside. So really it's the major, it's just the semiconductors that we do have. As for the rest of the names, it's primarily based off of the major indices, which is just going to be the SPY and the Qs. As for a few other setups that I do like, at least on the higher time frames, right? Amazon hold above your 214. As for Google, above your 178. I do like Meta as well. It's going to be above your 703. So Meta above your 703 and hold. We can see potential move back up and towards your previous day highs and your last week's highs here as well. But yeah, that is going to be it for me today. I'm going to get ready for market open here. If you guys did enjoy that, appreciate if you guys drop me a like and sub. If you guys haven't joined the watch list, that is, I think, the first link in the description, free watch list below. Just a quick video going over what I mentioned here in the pre-market. So if you guys haven't joined that, you guys can as well. And with that being said, I will see you guys all tomorrow morning. All right, take care, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.